Greetings, YouTube. As many people here probably know, I consider Daryl Wilson to be a murderous thug. But we're never going to know the actual facts of that case because that case is never going to see the inside of a courtroom. Why? Because the grand jury decided it wasn't worthy of a trial. Now, one of the reasons they thought that is that there was a witness, Witness 40, that agreed almost entirely with Darren Wilson's side of the story. That Witness 40 said this is what happened, and it aligns almost perfectly with what Wilson said happened that day. And this is the only witness that aligned that accurately with Wilson's story. And I say story because I don't think it is a reflection of reality. Now, people have begun to dig into Witness 40, and we found some interesting things out about Witness 40. Okay, so we have Witness 40 is one Sandra McElroy. And Sandra McElroy is an interesting character. First, McElroy didn't come forward till 4 weeks after the actual events that took place in Ferguson, after the broad daylight murder of Michael Brown. And her story is intriguing. It aligns so closely because, she had 4 weeks of listening to media reports of what the police department said happened to Darren Wilson. That right there might make your average person be a little suspicious. But then we begin to look at some other things from this report. McElroy suffered a head injury in 2001 that causes her to have short-term memory problems. She has an untreated bipolar disorder. There are numerous accounts of her discussing the case after it happened, after the attack happened, and she is an overt racist. Flat out calling Michael Brown a nigger. There is some questions whether of the facts she presents could have actually happened, as in the FBI wonders how could the events she's telling them happened physically have happened in the environment around this murder. She has a history in the past where she has actually reported crimes that did not take place. Now, if she were the defense witness in a trial, inside a courtroom, any DA would rip her apart in a heartbeat. Mere minutes after her testimony, any competent DA would just shred her. And yet, McAuliffe used her testimony, based a lot of his case on her testimony, because it aligned so nicely with Wilson's story. Now, her original report to the police is that she witnessed these events from a distance of 100 yards. 100 yards. If I were to tell you a football ref made a call 100 yards away, would you listen to that ref? Would you think that was a legitimate call? Of course you wouldn't. 100 yards away? You can't see any kind of real details 100 yards away. She then later said that she was 50 yards away. That right there, the discrepancy. She changed the distance of her observation by half. Should have made people think that she lacked any form of credibility. But then there's the icing on this shit cake. I apologize for my language. Is that the DA knew she was lying and let her testify anyway. He intentionally muddled this grand jury's testimony that was presented to them. so that they could not possibly indict Darren Wilson. If this DA had thrown this case any harder, it would be in orbit. He never wanted to bring this cop to justice. He never wanted to bring him to a trial. He didn't want to bring a cop that works with him. A cop that is on his side when it comes to the prosecution machine. It should be completely illegal for someone to have the power to decide whether they're going to prosecute someone or they're going to present the evidence whether and to help the process whether they will be prosecuted if they play on the same team. Do you let coaches make calls on football teams? Their own team? Of course not. It's called a conflict of interest. There should be absolute and utter transparency. There should be utterly no conflict of interest. There should be independent prosecutors in these cases. Whenever there's a cop shooting, particularly a cop shooting an unarmed person, murdering them in broad daylight, and then leaving their body to rot in the street, there should be an independent outside agency doing the investigation and the potential prosecution. It should be presented by an independent special prosecutor to a grand jury. There needs to be complete separation, and there wasn't. And it's sickening. Darren Wilson not only got away with murder, but now he is a rich man. Estimates are that he's got at least anywhere between $600,000 to $1 million out of this process from donations and from the interview he did. I believe it was on ABC. So he walks away scot-free for gunning down a black man in the street in broad daylight, an unarmed black man, and now he's a rich man and a hero to the white supremacists of America. There were actual Klan members at the rallies for Wilson. When the Klan backs you up, you may want to reassess your worldview. Like I said, the DA didn't want to prosecute this, so he made sure it didn't get prosecuted. He based his case on a witness that's full of crap. He let people testify who were lying, and he knew it. Why? Because he didn't care. Wilson was never going to see the inside of a court. He knew that from day one. A white cop shoots a black person? Who gives a crap? Every 28 hours in America, a black person is killed by law enforcement. Every 28 hours. Think about that. And for some reason, the black community of America is just supposed to be silent on that? They're just supposed to sit back and accept it? And don't give me any of that, well, blacks do all kinds of crimes. Black on black crimes high. White on white crimes high. Yellow on yellow crimes high. Brown on brown crimes high. The reality is that black people are disproportionately murdered by law enforcement in America. Michael Brown is just one among legions.